Welcome, this is Lang. I'm a deeply cynical misanthrope bordering on nihilism, and this is Secondhand Gameplay, a channel where I usually just screw around in front of random games, sometimes with my wife, and occasionally talk about things like the closing eShop, which is what I'm here to talk about today, as well as a few other side topics, like related topics. My voice might be slightly quiet or muted for a while, actually, for a few reasons. The chief reason being I have a psycho neighbor who complains about noise a lot, but that's fine. I also haven't been making a lot of videos lately for a few other reasons. My capture card's been messing up, recently fixed it. I've also been working a lot lately, recently had foot surgery, a lot of random little things. I did want to make this video with, like a month left before the eShops for Nintendo close. And I know I made a video on the 3DS and talked about a lot of Wii U games, but I wanted to talk about, real quick, not a ton of huge editing. I didn't want to have to take the time to write a script and, be even less time. I already was busy with way too much since my last video. Such as getting married, by the way. It was super awesome. I'm going to talk about that a lot because I can't get enough of it. But I'm just going to go through my Wii U library real quick and talk about my picks, like what I bought and what I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying pretty much everything I bought, some more, some less, but I don't have any regrets. Let's just jump right in to what I've started with. It's going to be a little difficult because I can't record my gamepad very easily, so I'm using a Wii remote with a classic controller to look at the screen. All right, here we go. Yes, okay. So, I do have some games on here that are not ones I bought for the eShop closure, but again, I don't disagree with any of these picks. If you want Legend of Zelda, Splatoon, Nintendo Land, these games have disc versions. That doesn't mean they're not good games. But personally, I liked to spend my money on certain games that were only available on this eShop, or maybe were difficult to obtain otherwise. Not necessarily strictly exclusive, but might be difficult otherwise. So I'm just going to go in no particular order, just whatever random order is on here. But I want to start by talking about the Silver Falls games. The developer of Silver Falls, Sungrand, is trying to release a couple more games. He is like the last person to release games for these amazing consoles through the eShop, and he has a whole saga about it. Please go watch or maybe subscribe to his channel, Sungrand Studios, where he talks about this whole process and all the troubles he's faced and all the successes, and how it kind of ties back into what I talked about in my first video on this topic about if you want to pirate, if you want to homebrew. I understand that, so many people told me like, idiot, just pirate or homebrew. And I get that perspective. I'm not telling you what to do per se. I'm just telling you, and I'm already dropping my Wii remote, what I kind of did. My perspective is that I like to support the games. And a lot of people did point out like, hey, a lot of these games don't, the developers don't always see that. It's pretty much worthless. You're just paying the corporate suits. And yeah, I can understand that for a lot of games, but there are certain games, a lot of indie games with indie developers who this actually supports. And beyond that, maybe a lot of them support the suits at Nintendo, but if you really listen to the stories over at Sungrand Studios channel, there are a lot of little people at Nintendo who helped get these last few really good games out on the system and are also assisting with updates. He's still like working on updates and even extra content for these games, and the shop is closing soon. Like, that's crazy that it's almost like the shop is still alive, so there is a point in buying legitimately certain games, indie titles. If you pirate the Silver Falls games, you're kind of hurting this very specific guy who worked really hard, and also denying the efforts of a few smaller people at Nintendo who worked really hard with him. So that's just something to consider. I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. I'm just telling you that some of these things have consequences for little people, real people. Not all of them, maybe. And, if whatever you want to do is your prerogative, it's your determination. I'm just here to talk about what I've done, my experience, and what I rationalize these things with. So I don't pirate, I don't homebrew. I know that it's a thing that you can do, especially for games. If you don't have the money and these games are going away, totally get that perspective. But maybe if you can afford it, you know, please purchase the Silver Falls games. The more support they get to the games themselves, the more you talk about these games, the more you bring it up to Nintendo itself, the more support he might be able to bring to the games. So, and also his future endeavors on Switch. So definitely check these out. I'm gonna say I'm completely happy with the purchases of Silver Falls Undertakers, Silver Falls White Inside Its Umbra, as well as the games on 3DS, which I'll run through real quick. I know I talked about the series in my last video, but Guardians and Metal Exterminators, Ghoul Busters. There is a 3DS version of Undertakers, so you can take it on the go. I will say the Wii U version has multiplayer, and I don't believe the 3DS version does, at this time at least. But still a good game. And of course the original game, 3 Down Stars. And they all they have this system called Code Linker where they can connect with each other, basically. They can alter and unlock content or things like that in the other games. So it's very cool, that system. It's not a commonly used system to connect so many games like that. So anyway, please definitely check these out, talk about them, go check out his channel, do what he says, you know, if you're interested. And then I'll get back to this actual list. I just wanted to get that out the way right there. Thank you guys for listening. And thank you guys for all the subscribers I got for after the last video. That video blew up. I never thought I would get more than a few hundred views on that at most. That's what I was hoping for. And it's at like 140 something thousand at this time on my 3DS guide. That's amazing. I got actual developers like Sungrand to talk to me about the video, and that was just a dream come true. So thank you all, and I'm sorry that most of my channel is just being stupid in front of other games, but you know, hope you guys enjoyed some of the content. Sin and Punishment. I skipped this one. I already talked about this in the other video. Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge is a free downloadable game. It requires an amiibo to play, but you don't need a Mario amiibo. I wasn't super clear on this earlier. Any amiibo will work for some of the content. Basically, you use amiibo to unlock levels, and yes, the Mario-based amiibos like Mario, Rosalina, Donkey Kong, Peach, they unlock specific levels, but if you use any amiibo at all, it can still unlock some levels, like a decent portion of the game. So mileage may vary there, but it is free, and I actually really enjoy the like Mario vs. Donkey Kong series a lot. So if you didn't get this on 3DS, or if you don't have a 3DS, just a Wii U, I do recommend it here. It's free. I mean, you know, unless you're running out of space, there's no reason not to, in my opinion. Sin and Punishment. This game, I did talk about as well, real quick, but it is a Nintendo 64 title that did not come to the US. But you can get an official US release of it, a port, or an emulation rather, on the Wii U. And it doesn't take a lot of Japanese knowledge of the language. It's very much playable just knowing English. I know like I don't know any Japanese. I don't. But it's still fun. It's kind of like a run and gun shooter. We did actually get the sequel game on the Wii, Sin and Punishment. I don't remember the subtitle. I really did like the Wii version. I played it a lot as a kid. Alongside Counterforce, which is a terrible game, but I love it. Sidetracked, sorry. Sin and Punishment, it's good. You don't need to know Japanese. This game was unavailable in the US, so unless you have an N64 and are, you know, importing a copy of this game, and then doing either the mod to remove the lockout nubs in your 64, or removing the back of the cartridge to put a US backing on it, or I guess just emulating it, either way. Still, if you did want to buy this game legitimately, which is the assumption for this video, if you pirate or homebrew or hack, I mean, you know, you probably don't need this video. If you want this legitimately, this is one of the better ways to get it, in my opinion. It's decently cheap. I think it was like $6 or $7. Similarly, I talked a little bit about this as well, Earthbound Beginnings. It's the first of the Mother games. This did not get an official release in the US on cartridge for the NES, but they did release it, and they did translate it for Virtual Console here. They had to translate this one because this is an RPG, and you kind of need to read to play those. But this game is good. I know this game is flawed. It is not as good as Earthbound. I understand that, totally. Still, I think it's fun to mess around in like this dev's first foray into his or her or their like universe that they were trying to build and their style of game. Again, also decently cheap, like $6 or $7. Classic RPG fare, pretty difficult from what I hear. I've never beaten it, but I hear the end section is pretty difficult. This game you can buy. You don't need to because cartridges still exist, but I do want to talk about my favorite Fire Emblem game, probably in my top 5 games in general. I know a lot of people poop all over Sacred Stones because it's sometimes considered too easy. It's actually my favorite, absolutely. Maybe that's nostalgia talking. I did have it at the same time as... Oh, I don't have it on here. I don't know why I went to the right. I did have it at the same time as the other Fire Emblem on GBA, which I guess would be Blazing Blade? Blazing Blade. Anyway, and I think this one's better. I like it better. Don't crucify me for that. But definitely this is not on my intended list of things you should buy. I just want to talk about it because it's my favorite game. One of my favorite games. It's probably not my favorite game. My favorite game is Rocket Slime. Go check out my Rocket Slime playthrough. That's my favorite game. Kudu. This game was released in, I want to say Australia, maybe PAL. I don't remember. Did not come to the US. This one and a couple of these other import titles, I believe they might be made available on Nintendo Switch Online's emulation, possibly with expansion pass. I remember that the recent announcement of the GB and GBA games coming to Nintendo Switch Online, I believe it did include Kudu, as well as some of these others. But if you don't have Nintendo Switch Online, or you want like a copy of the game that's not going to go away if you stop paying Nintendo Switch Online, or when one day those servers go away, this is like a full installed version. I kind of like that feature. Also pretty cheap. This game is, one of those import games. If you didn't want to actually import it physically and you don't want to pay Nintendo Switch Online every month, you can get it for like $6. This one's fun. If you remember in Smash Bros, one of the summons is just a big blue like plane. It's like a big blue like lever or something. It's actually like kind of a helicopter device, and you play as I think he's a duck who pilots the helicopter-y device. So pretty cool. Similarly, Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3, I should say, is the full title. The GBA port of Super Mario 3, which I talked about this one in my video because this includes the pretty exclusive e-reader levels that we did not get in the US, which is why I talked about it in my last video. That's why it's on here. I believe this was another one that Nintendo Switch Online expanded will include with the secret levels or whatever, the e-reader levels. So this one probably drops on the priority list. But again, same argument. If you don't want to pay Nintendo Switch Online every month to play it, you can get it here with those exclusive levels. I'm just going to go all the way to the left. Freedom Planet. This one's not super exclusive. You can get this on other systems. I do like this game a lot. Same with Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Not technically exclusive. Do like it a lot. Pushmo World is exclusive. It is a lot of the same gameplay as Pushmo on 3DS, but it does have some other features, or new puzzles, rather. I love the Stretchmo, Pushmo, and Crashmo games. Mallow is just... That's his name, right? Mallow? Mallow? I thought it was Mallow. He's adorable. I love this little sumo guy. I super recommend this for puzzle fans. Super Toy Cars I bought because it goes on sale a lot, and I wasn't super disappointed with it. That's about it. It's a decent multiplayer game if you don't already own a disc version of like Mario Kart. But I didn't hate it, so it's here. Dr. Luigi, this is another actual exclusive. Now, I will say that the 3DS game, Dr. Mario Miracle Cure, I believe it is, I talked about it in the last video, has a, like, Dr. Luigi mode, but this is like an actual full fleshed out Dr. Luigi game. So if you played that mode in the 3DS Dr. Mario, or if you just really like Dr. Mario as a series, certainly recommend this one. Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars. I know I talked about Tipping Stars in the last video as well. I really do like this series. I did buy this game for both. I believe you might get a free copy. I can't remember. Between one and the other. I have to check that. I don't remember. That might have been a limited time thing. But I do recommend this game at least on one of the two systems. There is actually a really disappointing thing where it relied on Miiverse to fully unlock everything in the game. And you might know that Miiverse was like the social network for Nintendo that is now shut down. That means that unless they do some weird patch or something, there's content in this that you can only unlock. You are limited in what you can unlock. There's like a currency that you got through Miiverse, and how you spend that currency actually matters now, because you won't be able to buy everything in the shop. That really sucks. I still recommend this game because everything you buy is kind of extra content. It's not like part of the main story. It's kind of part of the level building stuff, which is still a super shame, but I still recommend buying it just for the single player content. Maybe that's just me because I love this series and I love puzzle games, but I still recommend it. Even more so, I recommend Pokemon Rumble U. Now, I do like the Rumble series. I've played most of them. I like action Pokemon games. It feels like you're controlling a Pokemon in a battle. To a limited extent, sure, because they're kind of like toys in this universe. But this game is fun. This game was kind of like a precursor to the Amiibo stuff, because you still can buy these little, they're basically just Amiibo. They're NFC chipped figures of Pokemon that you can load into this game. I only have one. It's a Litwick, and Suki absolutely chewed the fuck out of the head of it, like the flame part of the Litwick, but it still works because it's like an Amiibo. And I can load, I think I already loaded the Amiibo into Pokemon Rumble U, so I got like this kind of almost like an event Litwick to play with. Not to mention that the gameplay is still fun. I also talked about the free Pokemon Rumble game on 3DS. It is very similar gameplay. If you want to try out the free 3DS game for the gameplay, and you like that gameplay, I certainly recommend this Wii U version. Or Wii U title. It's not the same game, but it's just similar gameplay. Amiibo Tap is very similar in concept to Mini Mario and Friends. This unlocks content based on Amiibos. If you put an Amiibo down, you get a timed demo of some classic games. Certainly nothing crazy cool, but it's free. It's free. So if you have the space, if you have at least one Amiibo, you can play some old games for a few minutes. Nothing that's going to super pass the time, but it's free. So I want to mention it. I also want to mention that you can just straight up use a flash drive or like a USB hard drive to expand your Wii U memory, which is what I've done. You can get pretty decent sized flash drives and hard drives on Amazon or eBay or whatever, or at the store, decently cheap for like a large flash drive, since they're less used now in favor of like micro SD cards. So I definitely recommend expanding your memory if you want to do any of this. This game, oh shoot, I'm using the analog stick as opposed to the D-pad on my classic. Affordable Space Adventures is super fun. I don't know if any of you have played Artemis before, or there's a lot of games like this, but you kind of, this game where you play this ship and you're trying to escape like a hostile environment on some planets, and you kind of just control like certain facets of the ship. And there's this multiplayer mode where you can kind of have a couple players, I think up to 3, or maybe I just kind of ham-fisted a third player in there at a party once, where you can each control certain facets of the ship, movement or flashlights or other gadgets that you can attach to the ship, or rather find in your adventures. And you kind of work together to pilot this little ship to escape a hostile environment. It's really fun. Definitely check this one out if you're a fan of like puzzle adventure games. Really good space atmosphere. This game is another one that's not super exclusive to this, but this one does go on sale a decent amount of time. Dungeons & Dragons Chronicles of Mystara. This is a like super classic style beat 'em up with some light RPG elements. I am a fan of beat 'em ups. I think this game is really fun. I believe this comes with like, I want to say this comes with 2 game modes that are kind of like their own games. I might be thinking of a different collection. Let's just check it out real quick. I do not remember. But this game is fun either way. I certainly recommend checking this out. If you like beat 'em ups, or RPGs even, because if anything has RPG elements, I just kind of call it an RPG. Yeah, Capcom makes good beat 'em ups. I mean, obviously, right? Okay, thank you. Please load. I'm doing a video. Iron Galaxy, I'm doing a video. GGPO, I'm doing a video. Thank you. God, he is grabbing that thing like his left nut. Blue ball. All right. Yes, save data. Appreciate it. Chronicles of Mystara. Okay, hold on. Arcade. What was I thinking of? Oh, Tower of Doom, that's what it was. Yes, okay, so there's kind of these two different game modes. That's what I was thinking of. Very cool. And yes, you can level up your characters. Okay, yeah. I believe they are, like, the same gameplay, just different, like, probably, like, different campaigns, really. But a good amount of content. You can play that on other systems. I believe it's on, like, XBLA, maybe on the PSN shop, which I'll be making videos probably about the closing PSN shop when that gets re-announced. But still a fun one. It goes on sale a lot on the Wii U eShop. Swords and Soldiers 2. This game goes on sale. Maybe it's the first Swords and Soldiers that goes on sale. This is a strategy game. Kind of like those different line games where you send soldiers on different planes, on different like rows. This one's okay. Not on the top of my list. It's fine if you like that kind of game, but I probably don't super recommend this one. Mr. Pumpkin Adventure, I thought was just a really funny, kind of in the style of point-and-click adventure games. I'm just going to start rapid-firing these so this video doesn't go forever. But if you like those kinds of puzzly adventure games, Mr. Pumpkin Adventure is funny. Tokitori is on a bunch of different systems, but I really like the puzzle platforming kind of games. As I've said before, this one goes on sale a lot. Nano Assault Neo I talked about Nano Assault on 3DS. It's like a cool shooting game. This one is not obviously going to be in 3D like the 3DS one, so maybe recommend the 3DS one up a little bit more, but I still like shooters. I like all kinds of games, really. There are very few game types I won't enjoy. Runbow, this is not exclusive at all. The DLC, certain DLCs might be exclusive, because I think you can unlock, you might be able to unlock characters from Freedom Planet and Shantae in this, but you might be able to in other versions. I only have the Wii U version, but the Wii U version does let you play with 9 players or something like that, like a crazy amount of players. So that one's just a fun party game. Stormfront, I believe, is now on Switch. I don't know if it was when I bought this, but this one goes on sale a lot if you don't have a Switch. It's a run and gun kind of game. It's like kind of top down or isometric in a pixel way. Kind of reminded me of certain Contra levels, like the top down Contra levels. Pretty fun. The YouTube app is free. It's YouTube. That's it. I'm not even going to talk about Wii U Chat. That's probably going away. Pirate Pop Plus. This is only on here because if you bought the 3DS version or vice versa, you can just get it free on Wii U or vice versa. So I have it here downloaded. Kind of a basic game. Nothing crazy. Quest of Dungeons is another one of those. I bought it on one of the two and then I got it free on the other. Severed as well. These games are not amazing or super exclusive, but they do have that added benefit. The Star Fox Guard special demo, I know I talked a lot about special demos in the 3DS one. This is another one, but for the Wii U. It's free. It's, if you like tower defense games, great. Similar situation with Star Fox Zero, Battle Begins in Training. It's basically a special demo for the actual Star Fox Zero gameplay. It's free. So check it out. If you don't like it, delete it. Twisted Fusion. This one's a fun one. This one goes on sale a lot. It's kind of like a platformer with maybe more of a Metroidvania. But definitely check this one out. Goes on sale a good amount. I don't remember what Rush is. Forget it. This is another tool device, very similar to those other Monster Hunter tools that were on 3DS. This one is Packet Relay. I honestly do not even remember what this one does. I was just like, it's free, I got the space. This in some way connects to the 3DS version of Monster Hunter 3, so probably only download it if you have that. I know this video was a lot less structured than my last scripted video, but I wanted to get this out as soon as possible, and I've been way too busy to accomplish that up until now. Alright, you can play... Oh, that's what it is. Okay. So this lets you play online with the 3DS one, the 3DS version. Yeah, it's like an online lobby to connect the 3DS version online, possibly with Wii U versions, kind of like cross-platform. So yeah, something to get if you have the Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on Wii U or 3DS, I guess specifically the 3DS one. Probably works pretty well in conjunction with the other tool on 3DS, but it was free. If you have the game, great. If not, forget it. Okay, the Panorama View series. These are probably not what you want to buy. They are really just you get to experience a you know, like it's like one of those videos where they have that 360 camera, that kind of thing. But they take you, it's like a Nintendo guided tour through certain parts of the world. And I thought that was really interesting. I bought one of them. It was $2. It was interesting the first run through, and then there's really less point to playing it again. So, but it was an interesting idea, and I wanted this piece of history on here. Fast Racing Neo is another one that goes on sale a lot. This one actually has DLC for extra racing. This is very like Wipeout or F-Zero. If you like those games, this is a good cheap alternative. The closest we got to an actual F-Zero game, to my knowledge, on Wii U was the mini game in Nintendo Land, which is good in its own right. But this is like actually like Wipeout with DLC for extra courses, and goes on sale. So pretty good. Darksiders 2 is not exclusive. I do like it, but it's not exclusive. Wicked Monsters Blast HD Plus, I believe is exclusive. I could be wrong. That's another like party kind of game. Whispering Willows is kind of another one of those adventure games. I'm just going to go through these really fast. Ice Cream Surfer was really probably dumb. Maybe don't bother with that one. It's okay. As Divine Hearts, this one is on other systems. I do like RPGs. I probably got complaints in my last video about how many RPGs I went through in the RPG role, but I am a big RPG fan and strategy game fan. And Koei Tecmo, no, not Koei Tecmo, what am I thinking? Kemco, made a good amount of them on here. I want to say I got another one somewhere from them, from Kemco, maybe. But I like RPGs. It's a good place for RPGs. Cube Life Pixel Action Heroes and Cube Life Island Survival are just Minecraft clones. But if you didn't get Minecraft on Wii U, they're fine. They're multiplayer. They were fun, you know, to screw around with on, you know, with friends. This game was free. Humanitarian Helicopter was free. It sucks, but it was free, so I'm putting it on here. I believe Cube Shift and Daikon Set are the same. They were free. They're not great. Daikon Set is actually the fourth game of those weird... There were 3 weird 3DS games that were all like, one was 2 cents, one was $1, one was 50 cents. Like Gal Galaxy Pain, Love Hero, was it? And I don't even... TV Game Queen 2, and Daikon Set is like the secret fourth one. This is free. If you liked those weird games, try it out. Why not? Drop It Block Paradise. I like puzzle games. This game just looked really funny. It reminds me a lot of one of my favorite games growing up, which was James Cod. It kind of plays very actiony like that. Actually, I haven't played James Cod in forever. Maybe it's like the slowest fucking game, but as a kid, it was really fun. Koi DX is relaxing but boring. Maybe skip it. Fatal Frame, you can get the like first... This is like an episodic series. It's actually fucking huge in size. Most of these games aren't that big in size. I know I don't talk about size a lot, but that's because I just bought like a 30-something gigabyte flash drive, and it's enough for most of these. First episode's free. I do not recommend paying the like $50 for the rest of the episodes. I didn't fall in love with the demo. I've not played the other Fatal Frame games. I would love to, but I did not fall in love with this demo. Words Up Academy, it's another one where I got it free because it was for, if you have it on 3DS, it's free here and vice versa. I actually really like Words Up Academy, but I probably will just play it on 3DS. Pick a Pix Color, another one of those double, you get a copy for each. This one is fun for lovers of Picross and like the nonary, nonogram kind of games, Sudoku. If you don't like puzzles, you probably won't like it. Alright, Ninja Strike Dangerous Dash is... Let me get my notes here. Hold on, let me see what I wrote on it. It's an action platformer with some RPG elements. I believe this one is made by Natsume, and as I believe is the case for Brave Tank Hero, which kind of reminded me of, like, Battalion Wars, although much less fleshed out, but, you know, we didn't really get a Battalion Wars on Wii U. We haven't gotten a Battalion Wars since fucking Wii. Battalion Wars 2. I missed that series. Sidetracked, sorry. Spheroids. There are several like retro-inspired action platformers, sometimes with puzzle elements, on Wii U. If that is your kind of gameplay, I recommend games like Spheroids. Let me see. Pad of Time, I believe, is now on Switch, but it is kind of that. If you don't have a Switch, it's kind of like retro-inspired. I believe the developer says it's kind of N64-inspired because of the low-poly enemies, but you yourself are like 2D. So it kind of blends them, and it has like a time-altering kind of deal. I wouldn't quite say it's like Prince of Persia, because that's more of like a very... Prince of Persia is slower, it's very deliberate, right? That brings me to Exile's End, which is sort of Prince of Persia, or maybe another world closer, but like with a Japanese art style. But back to the retro style games. Hold on, let me see my notes. Hive Jump is an action platform roguelike. I believe this is also on Switch, but again, if you don't have Switch. Bombing Bastards is a lot like Bomberman, but with some of the developers' own unique spins on it. Certainly a good party game. Wii U is full of great party games because of how many players can play on it. A World of Keflings. This game, I believe, is also on... I know it's on Xbox Live Arcade, but the difference is that on Wii U, you play as like yourself. So on Wii U, you get to play as your me, and on Xbox, if you have an Xbox, you can get it there and play as your avatar instead. But still a fun like strategy game. You kind of play God. If you like Populous, I love Populous. Then go right ahead. Oh yeah, 8-Bit Hero is kind of like Gauntlet, another retro-inspired game, kind of hack and slashy, top-down-ish. Another good game from like the 80s or 90s probably. No, this is 80s, 8-bit. I don't know what I'm talking about. Citadel is... I took this as a Castlevania clone. A lot of people liked, what was it, Soul of Darkness that I showed from the 3DS. I guess it's actually a DSi game. Citadel is also kind of like that. I love Castlevania clones. Euphoria is another game that we did not get in the US. This is actually a retro game that you can get ported here. This might be on Nintendo Switch Online. I'm not sure. I don't really play a lot of Nintendo Switch Online. I don't have the expanded one. But this one is an import that you can get from Virtual Console decently cheaply. Scram Kidding is Buddy on Rails is it's like an on rails top down shooter where you kind of grind on these rails. It's got some like physics and puzzle elements based on like kind of trying to go around on this like these set paths, but you can kind of jump paths. And you're trying to shoot top down stuff like kind of twin stick shooter. You're trying to rescue cats, I believe, is the plot. Mutant Alien Moles of the Dead. This is like if someone took Whack-A-Mole, like from an arcade, or I think there are actually some Whack-A-Mole based video games. This is like a super hyped up alien version with power-ups. Oops, I'm hitting the analog stick again. So that was kind of fun to like hit stuff and just mindlessly. It's another mindless party game for sure. Alphadia Genesis, that's the other one I was thinking of with a Kemco RPG. I want to say this one is also on Switch, but I think I got it on sale, so if you don't have a Switch, that's good. Full Blast is another like bullet hell shooter, retro inspired. A lot of retro games on like retro styled games on Wii U. I like it, but if you're not a fan of like those top down shooters, like fast paced bullet hell kind of games, you know, like or like the R-Type or Gradius kind of games, then you probably want to skip it. Brick Breaker is like Arkanoid. I love Arkanoid. I was trying to fix an Arkanoid arcade machine for a long time. I think I've about given up and probably gonna have to sell that on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or some shit, because I cannot fix a fucking arcade machine to save my life. But I don't have to because I have Brick Breaker. Three Souls is it's another retro inspired graphically kind of game, but it is sort of story based. It's like kind of a narrative driven action, more of a puzzle platformer. Not that there's no action, but it's probably more focused on puzzles in my opinion. I'm going to skip over some of these. Guacamelee, I'm just going to say is a good game, but this is not the only place to get Guacamelee. It's like a Metroidvania. You can definitely get that on other platforms like Switch. This is just a game you can get on disc. I just bought it because I like Resident Evil 4. Art of Balance, there was a version of this on 3DS. I believe they have slightly different levels, so if you want more of that on Wii U, it is here. If not, stick with the 3DS puzzle version. Ebba and Egg, I thought was really cute. It is not the most deep game. It has some cool mechanics where you kind of have to control the chick and the egg together, or at least like watch out for them both. It sort of reminded me just that mechanic of like the World Ends With You stuff, like 2 screens, but it's obvious it's not an RPG. It's platformer. It is not amazing, but I liked that mechanic. I can't lie. Flowerworks HD is a Wii shop. What did they call the Wii shop? The Wii store? I don't know. The old Wii shop that's gone now, they remade this HD for Wii U. And that just made me kind of want it because I was like, shoot, I missed out on a bunch of Wii games. There goes my Wii remote again. I'm fucking speaking ill of the dead, you know? Speak of Cao Cao and Cao Cao arrives. Sorry, just fucking up my Wii U while I'm quoting Romance of the Three Kingdoms, my favorite book. Please work. Thank you. Okay. So that just made me want it more. It's like a puzzly exploration game. I wouldn't say retro styled like a lot of the other ones I'm talking about, but it is very cute. I'm gonna skip over some of these other ones that weren't great. Shakedown Hawaii, you can actually, I believe, get a disc of it for like hundreds of dollars. Or you can get it on 3DS or Wii U. I didn't talk about it on my 3DS video because I have actually found a ton of 3DS games that I bought after I made that video and thought were decent, and maybe I'll go over a couple of those after I'm done with the Wii U stuff. This was one of them. You can get it on either one. This is a fun action game, but probably about as close as you're going to get to like GTA on a Nintendo console. Other than, I guess they had GTA Chinatown on DS. I forgot about that one. This or Retro DX Rampage. These games you can get on Axiom Verge, you can get on other systems. Crystal was very unpolished. Another World, Out of This World, same thing. You can get on other systems, and it's a classic. I mean, you can just get a cartridge of that on Super Nintendo. Zacia's Last Stand was kind of unpolished. This is like a sort of a tower defense space game. The gameplay is good, but it is really ugly looking. And that brings me to the end of the Wii U titles. I tried to scour the Wii U eShop as much as I could, like I did with the 3DS one, but I'm going to show you the Wii U eShop. If you search by publisher, it really glitches out, and it's really hard to search by individual publishers. So I'm sure I'm missing good games that are either hard to get without the eShop or are actually exclusive to the eShop. I know I'm missing some stuff. Please let me know in the comments. If you have any other recommendations, I'm always looking for more, especially now. Once again, do not panic buy, as that's never a good idea. Sleep on it and think on it in the morning instead. That's what I would say. Where's this? Let me search. I just want to show you the issues that you can run into when trying to do specific searches. It's just really not... It's slow and it's not responsive on the eShop. I don't know if it's just because there's more publishers listed. I don't even know if that is true. It just feels like there is. But especially when searching by publisher, it is so slow to load everything. Alright, I'm going to take this minute to look at some of the other 3DS stuff. Completely unplanned, completely unscripted. I know it's probably an unprofessional video, but I just wanted to get the info out ASAP. Let me see, what else am I buying on 3DS? Automaton Lung, that's another indie developer. I believe his name is Luke Vincent. Made the Herald games, which I also tried. But Automaton Lung super reminds me of Dreamcast era adventure platformers, space themed. Very cool if you like that era of gaming. Okay, so see, if I scroll down, it just is not going to show me everything. It eventually will pull up this one little bit here, so we'll wait a minute. What else am I looking at? Okay, Blue Kid 2 on 3DS. BLOOKID 2. Another retro platformer. I don't remember if I talked about Battle Cats Pop, but that is a fun, like... I was talking about Swords and Soldiers earlier. Battle Cats Pop is a way more, like, aesthetically pleasing version of that, and, like, funnier. Of, like, that kind of strategy game. Let's see... Oh yeah, Shakedown Hawaii on 3DS. Oh, okay, this is another one I wanted to talk about. I mentioned this in the comments of my last major guide video. There was a game that I talked about, I think in the RPG reel, called Drancia Saga. It's like an action RPG. Very simple gameplay. But you can unlock DLC in that game by buying other games on 3DS. I just recently learned that. So if you own Drancia Saga, and you also own the Witch and Hero games on 3DS, which I also talked about, you can unlock Witch and Hero characters in Drancia Saga. It's the only way to do it. You can't just like buy them via DLC in that game. You have to own the other game. But I think that's cool. That's another case of like linking games. I think it was like a partnership between several developers. There's others like that. That motorcycle game, Underground Trials, it's like a motor dirt bike game. You can unlock the dirt bike guy in that. Brunch Panic, which is like one of those like cooking idle, not idle, you definitely want to be fast at that game, but like you set up shop as like a food truck. You can just straight up play as the food truck in the fantasy world and crush monsters and fucking dodge, cast spells at you. It's hilarious. You can unlock let's see, oh, the one thing I wanted to know, is it says on the official page for it, and most pages, that you can unlock the gnome from Too Fast for Gnomes, GNOMZ, but I bought Too Fast for Gnomes and it did not unlock the gnome. Instead, I think you have to buy the sister game, Geki Yaba Runner Deluxe, which also stars the gnome, same gnome. That game unlocked the gnome in Transient Saga. So that is something to note if you actually did want to pursue all of the DLC characters in that game before the shop goes. Because those characters are, I believe, exclusive to the 3DS eShop because it's based on 3DS games. So definitely be careful, because I think it's Geki Yaba that actually unlocks the gnome character. And it said that on like one site, but then like 6 other sites said it's Too Fast for Gnomes. But it was that one site that was right. What else am I buying? The art style series from Nintendo, those are all really good, especially Picto Bits in my opinion. Oh, and Precipice. Precipice reminded me of Intelligent Cube with a Q. Super good. You can see how this shop is loading bit by bit. So this is why it was really hard to scour the eShop on Wii U. Let's see, what other games? Those games are okay. Let's see. Jump Trials, that's a good series. Really fun platformers. I wanted to talk really quick about Mysterious Stars games. Those are kind of like puzzle games where you draw constellations and they have like stories attached. Super relaxing games. Actually, this might be an insult to the game, but they're kind of make me sleepy in a good way. Like it's kind of hypnotizing to just kind of draw constellations and listen to a visual novel unfold. Not really listen, I guess. Watch a visual novel unfold. But they're fun, and I believe they connect with each other as well. They can unlock content with each other. Very cool idea. Let's see, I bought Kung Fu Rabbit. That's another cool platformer. Reminded me of Meat Boy. Castle Clout 3D was like those, what's that trebuchet game on like fucking Cool Math Games or some shit, or Addicting Games, where it's like Angry Birds, but like medieval, and I think you can make your own levels. That was fun. Bike Rider DX and its sequel. The sequel has DLC levels if you care about like that kind of one-button platformer, where you just mash A really to jump, but you avoid obstacles, and collect collectibles to unlock levels. DX Bike Rider 2 has some DLC. Let's see, the Ping Pong Trick Shot games and Collidaball were kind of fun, physics-based games. Speed X and Speed X 3D rather, and Speed X 3D Hyper Edition. Those were kind of fun, wipeout-y kind of games on 3DS. Let's see. Nikolai, Nikoli, is like a series of more puzzle games that were kind of like Sudoku and variants on Sudoku. I enjoy those. God, I'm just running through games. I'm sorry. Just bear with me. I just want to mention these games. I'll try and spell out more of the games because some people had trouble. I understand why. I didn't spell out a lot of the games in the last video. Hero of Sparta. That's a fun DSi game from Gameloft. Rage of the Gladiator. Let's see. I don't think I talked about Starship Defense. That's a Nintendo game. I might have. That's a DSi game, which is like a tower defense. The Royal Bluff is another DSiWare game. True Swing Golf Express is another Nintendo DSi game. 18th Gate. Oh, Come On Dragons. Don't come on a dragon, but Come On Dragons. The Castle Conqueror games. Absolute Brickbuster. That's another like Arkanoid clone. Gosh, I have like 5 DSs, and I have to go grab. I probably have to go grab another one. Hold on. Oh god. Alright, well, I just dropped a bunch of things. That's gonna be another noise complaint from my neighbor, guaranteed. Dropped some Pokemon cards when I got up too quickly. They were stacked incorrectly, I'm sure. Oh, okay, I had to run and get another DS because I had to spread some of the DSi games out. The Cellar is another DSi. That's kind of like you play an economist. I just really like that. Like, you kind of gamble, and I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like part Monopoly, part Wall Street Kid. But it's really fun. I have a degree in economics, and it kind of reminded me of those days. What DLC am I buying? There are DLCs that you should look out for. I talked about DLC real quick. Let's see, Concept Revolt, if you have that, or the downloaded version, which goes on sale a lot. There are some free DLC on its eShop, as well as every day if you log on to the online service, which I don't think is going away, you can get free in-game like cards and stuff. It's a card-based RPG. Shin Megami Tensei 4 and Apocalypse 4, I believe both have some free DLC that you can download. I believe that... Oh yeah, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Overclock 2 has some free DLC as well as paid DLC. I believe the Denpamen 3 you can buy like gems, like it's almost like a free or a pay-to-win kind of structure. I don't recommend that, but it is there. Just making note of some DLC that I remember. Let's see, I talked about the Drancia Saga DLC, Pseudo DLC. The Monster Hunter games all have free DLC. I don't know if those are going away since they might be server-based and not eShop-based, but basically all of the Monster Hunter games on 3DS have free DLC. Let's see, what else had DLC? Oh, if you bought Mighty Gunvolt, I want to say that's also on Switch, but it had a DLC, like a couple extra stages. Gata Protectors, you can buy the FM soundtrack. It's like $8 or something. I didn't buy it, but it exists. I went ahead and bought all the Rusty's Real Deal baseball games because you get, I didn't realize it, but you get an exclusive costume if you do. Don't know if anyone cares about that, but it exists, so I'm talking about it. Sorry for this unprofessional video. I just wanted to mention a bunch of things. Oh, the Ace Attorney games have DLC, some of them. I believe it was Spirits of Justice and Dual Destinies. You have to play like the first mission to unlock the ability to buy DLC. That shouldn't be a big problem because the Ace Attorney games are amazing. And the first case is fun in all of them anyway. And then you can unlock like extra bonus cases, basically. And I think costumes. I didn't buy the costumes, but I bought the bonus cases. I talked about the Fantasy Life. Extra DLC is really good, although they just announced a new Fantasy Life game. For my downloaded games. Okay, so on this other DS, I also bought Prehistoric Man, Prehistoric with a K at the end. That's a cool platformer that reminded me of Radical Rex or, what's that caveman Super Nintendo platformer? Chuck Rock, maybe? Oh, shoot. There's 3 games in the Dodo Go, D-O-D-O-G-O, with an exclamation point. Those are platformers similar to Ebba and Egg that I talked about a minute ago. 16-Shot Shooting Watch is literally just a button mashing game made by Hudson. It's like a fake Game & Watch game. It might have been real in Japan, but it's like a Game & Watch game where you just mash the button, and it is technically a side spin-off game to the Adventure Island games. So I thought that was kind of funny. Let's see, you can buy a straight up DSi instrument tuner if you play guitar or something. Forgotten Legions. Okay, I think that's it for the downloaded games. I know there are more games with DLC. I wrote it down. How are you guys doing? What's up with you guys? Having fun? I hope you're not shelling out $1 billion on this eShop. I know that sounds weird for me, who is recommending hundreds of dollars in games from the eShop. That's super weird, right? But I recognize that this is the crazy thing to do, and I only do it because I'm a game collector, like a super hardcore game collector. I need to do a video walkthrough of my game room before I move. I'm moving soon. That's part of the reason why I've been so busy lately. We're trying to get out of this crazy apartment complex and hopefully put a down payment on a home. I know that you totally all care about that. Okay, let's see. Bravely Default was on the DLC list on the eShop, and I looked into it deeper, and basically the DLC was for the Japanese version, and I think the US version just came with it. Minus one piece that we didn't get because it was kind of weird. It was like some weird bunny suit for one of the main characters. I think they just omitted that one. But just because it's in the DLC list on the eShop does not mean it actually has DLC in the US. Senran Kagura, Deep Crimson 2, I think is what it is. You can buy an extra character, the only male character in that game, which I did because I wanted to play as a male, because I am male. I think it was $5. There was a Senran Kagura Burst game that technically is exclusive to the eShop. I didn't talk about before, but I believe its remake is on modern consoles, so I say don't bother. Dragon Ball Fusions. Okay, that game has some free DLC that you can get. That might not go away with the eShop, but I don't know for sure. It depends on how the server is set up, but that had free DLC. Yes, definitely check out the Fire Emblem DLCs. I talked about that before, but they're super important, especially if you don't own the mega rare copy of Fates. I was lucky enough to get one back in the day, so I didn't need it, but you do not want to shell out hundreds of dollars for it, so you should check that out if you own Fire Emblem games. Let's see. Oh, I didn't talk much about Fragrant Story in the last video. I got Fragrant Story. It is really short, but they are adding free updates and new content in the future to make it longer. So that's something to keep in mind if you want Fragrant Story. I think it's $4 for the eShop version. So if you looked up the gameplay and it looked good, but people told you it was too short, they are gonna somewhat mitigate that. And keep in mind that that game was made, I believe, as a side game for a larger game, and they just wanted to, they got hit blindsided really with the eShop closure and decided to put it out. So not really super their fault for it being really short. It was kind of like meant to be a part of another game. A couple of the Harvest Moon games on 3DS have free DLC as well as paid DLC to buy new marriage candidates. I believe it was a Lost Valley and either A New Beginning or Skytree Village, not Tale of Two Towns. But Lost Valley definitely had that option. And then one of the other two had those free DLC. I cannot remember my research. I did not write it down because I'm not very good at this. Okay, let's see. There's definitely more DLC that I just don't know of. There's no way I got all of it, but I'm trying. Persona Q and Q2 have free DLC as well as paid DLC if you really like the games. I love the Etrian Odyssey series, which I believe one of the Etrian Odyssey games also has DLC that you should look out for. I don't have any of the 3DS versions. I just recently completed the original trilogy in my collection. I have not beaten them yet. Close though, but I want to play them before I get the 3DS ones. Project Cross Zone 2 used to have DLC. It no longer does, so sorry. Oh, if you own RPG Maker, the actual full version, not the free one I talked about in the last video, that has some free DLC as well as paid DLC if you really like creation options, but you probably are better off just going for one of the modern versions of RPG Maker. Okay, and that's it for the games that I can list with 3D, with DLC. I'm going to have to edit the hell out of that section to make it more concise, but that's okay. That's about it. That's all I really wanted to talk about. Thank you guys for bearing with this super erratic video, where I really just wanted to get some info out while I had a few hours of free time. And please remember to check out Sungrand Studios' YouTube channel as well as the Silver Falls games on 3DS and Wii U. If you can purchase them, I recommend it. Please don't pirate them because that's the kind of game that actually matters to purchase. So thank you for watching Secondhand Gameplay. Love you, bye.